Hey guys, it's been a while. I hope you guys are having a safe and healthy 2020. It's been a long time since I've had, of course, as soon as I start talking, my dog starts moving around. He's whining because the cat's under my bed. This is a great start to a video. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've made a video. I have been busy with work. COVID's been a rampant part of everybody's lives. 2020 has been a heck of a year, and we're already almost done with August, which is insane. Frankly, I haven't been all that inspired to work on any costumes. It's been a very hectic year. I was super excited to go to Emerald City Comic Con this year, even though I didn't have costumes ready. Then Emerald City Comic Con got canceled. And then after that, all of the other cons that I was planning on going to, they all got canceled too. So I didn't really work on anything for a long time. Recently, I have started working on a project that I haven't touched in almost a year. The last time I touched it was actually November of last year. So I've been wanting to make another Covenant costume. As you guys know, that's kind of my thing. I started with the Hunter from Halo 4, then I made an engineer from ODST, and then I worked with Lost Viking props to make the Halo 2 Anniversary Brute. Because of the Brute costume, it's opened amazing avenues. In 2018, I was invited to be a part of the judging panel for Rose City Comic Con in Portland, which was a tremendous opportunity. I was really heavily, and I still am heavily, impacted by Imposter Syndrome. If you don't know what Imposter Syndrome is, it means you don't feel like you belong where you are, even if you're among your peers. I have been around professional cosplayers who have been sponsored by major companies, who have been commissioned by major companies, and I just see my work and compare it against theirs and think, do I have a right to be here? Like, I just made some big costumes that weren't even polished to a level that I wanted them to be. But I have to accept that my work has some level of quality. So I have been wanting for a while, ever since finishing the Brute, which was 3 years ago now. I want my next Covenant costume to be the Skirmisher from Halo Reach. The Skirmishers, while they look small, are actually between 6'2" and 6'11" on average. It's not a costume that I need to make stilts for. I'm also not going to be wearing it. I'm actually going to have my boyfriend, Drew, wear the Skirmisher costume. When I told him I wanted to make the Skirmisher, he was like, please let me wear it. Please let me wear it. I'll be a great Skirmisher. Please let me wear it. And then tried giving me his best Skirmisher imitations. They weren't that good. But as I had mentioned earlier, I haven't worked on the sculpt for this since November of last year. For the last couple of weekends, last weekend, I spent a whole day working on the sculpt again. So it started with the sculpt that I hadn't touched since November, but then I wasn't happy with how the sculpt was going. The structure on the inside was made with EVA foam, but it was 1/4 inch and wasn't very well secure, so it started slouching to one side. I also wasn't happy with all of the shapes that I had sculpted, and I had the clay laid on way too thick. It was making the head about 20% larger than what I wanted it to be. So last weekend, I decided to scrap the whole thing, completely fix the structure, and completely redo the clay on the sculpt. I have it here on my desk with me. I will show you guys what it looks like. It's large. Just give me a second. I'm back here. So as you can see, this is very large. As I do, I make Covenant costumes to scale. The Brute was 10 to 12 feet tall, depending on if I was wearing it or if Jeremy was wearing it, and the Brute is 9 feet tall. I'm going to make the Skirmisher about 70 feet tall, like the average size of a Skirmisher is. So this is just one day of sculpting, mostly. Like 17 hours. Yeah, 17 hours. And I will flip it over. There's nothing on the other side. So 17 hours is this much work. The first part of this sculpt that I actually did was actually the tongue. Actually comes out as a separate piece. It's on a little paper plate that I cut out. And the tongue used to be a lot larger too when I first did the sculpt. But the tongue was the first piece that I started. I don't know why, but that's just the way I started it, I guess. There's a little bit of method to my madness here. As you can see, the teeth are not clay. Well, they are clay, but not this clay. These teeth are actually, let me see if I can pull one out. These are polymer clay teeth that I sculpted and baked in the oven. So when I finish the sculpt, I can remove the teeth, mold the whole head without the teeth, and then I'll be able to place the teeth in there and still have them be hard, because I'm going to be casting the head out of flex foam, which is a smooth on product. Also, the end of the lower half of the sculpt, or the lower jaw, is a separate piece as well. I just had it sticking on for effect. The reason for that is so I don't have a super messy, ugly mold when I mold this. When I first started sculpting this, I initially didn't have the lower jaw on this at all. And now that I think about it, it's good that I added the lower jaw, and here's why. If I had the lower jaw not added, then there was going to be no way that I would have been able to line up the textures and the sculpt between the lower jaw and the top jaw and the neck. Also, when I mold this, if I had molded the lower jaw completely separate, then there would have been this huge seam along where the jaw goes that I probably wouldn't have been able to make seamless, especially if I wanted the jaw to articulate. So that's why I have part of the lower jaw in here and not the end. I also have to sculpt the muscular bands that go between the jaws. That's going to be a separate sculpt that I mold separately. Before I restarted the sculpt, I had actually started building the armor for the Skirmisher as well. I wanted the Skirmisher to be the Murmillo armor type, which is the orange. It's got the helmet, it's got the point protection shields on the arms, and they can carry a plasma pistol or a needle rifle. So I started building the helmet out of 1/4-inch EVA foam sheets from a Michael's Craft store. This is my first version. I wasn't very happy with how this turned out, mainly because the model that I had used was an original game rip. And so it wasn't smooth at all, not very geometric. A lot of the eye space didn't make any sense. So after I had made this, I covered it in tape, painter's tape, and redrew a completely new pattern. What I ended up with was this guy. Much smoother. It's much, that's gonna be covered in dog hair now. You can go in there. This pattern ended up being much more smooth and game accurate. I already started the finishing process where I add foam putty to the seams and creases, but then I realized after test fitting that I need to make more adjustments to this helmet. The sockets in the eyes are too recessed. So let me show you why they're too recessed. So this is the sculpt with the helmet on. But if you turn it this way, see where the foam is touching the sculpt? It's preventing the helmet from squeezing in. But if I take the old helmet and put it on, it fits a lot better. and there's not as much of a problem of it staying where it needs to stay. So I need to make some adjustments to that helmet. So that's all the progress I have on the Skirmisher so far, and honestly, I don't have a deadline for this project. I've learned from these other projects that a timeline only makes the quality of my work worse. If I had a commission to do this with a 5-star budget, I would absolutely be able to do this. But I am doing this on an admittedly shoestring budget, so I will not put a deadline on this project because I want to be able to give this project justice. My eventual dream or goal is to be able to build one of every Covenant species in the Halo universe, and I want to get better each time I do a new project. So I want to give myself time and be able to raise up the funds that I need for the materials I want to use instead of settling for less. And I know that this is going to be a really good project. I'm excited for all of the plans that I have. I want to add animatronics, I want to add a soundboard, I want to add lights. It's going to be really cool when it's done, and it's going to be so lifelike that you guys won't even know it's a costume. But now I'm going to do what I'm going to call a project Q&A. It's going to be a brief Q&A about the project, how it is going right now. And because this is the first video, I actually asked some coworkers of mine to ask some questions about this project, which I will promptly answer and give you guys the answer. My grammar is great. But if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask about this project and want it to be featured in the next project update video, go ahead and put it in the comments down below, and maybe it'll be featured in the next episode and I'll answer your question. So the first question is, how are you going to achieve the Skirmisher's unique stance? The Skirmishers have a leg shape that can be called a digigrade. So backwards knees, they have a very long heel structure, and that's going to be very difficult to do on a human form, especially with how exaggerated it is on the Skirmisher. So I'm going to do a fake bent leg. I'm not going to make my boyfriend wear any wacky stilts that'll make him super sore within 10 minutes, because I want to also include comfort in this costume for durability and durability of the costume and durability of the wearer. So my idea is just to build the leg as you would see it in the game, but have holes in the legs so a regular leg can stick through it and walk and move around normally, but the big alien leg will still move naturally and still have that stance without butchering my boyfriend's legs or giving him bionic legs, which would also be really cool, but I'm not going to do that either. Follow-up question was, can you sit down? We will have to see. We haven't made them yet. It'll be more of a perch, where my boyfriend will be able to prop his butt just on the edge of a chair and his legs stick out like that. We don't know. We'll see. I'll make it I'll try the best I can to make it so he can sit and relax to some extent, but it's the alien-shaped legs that are going to make it hard more than anything else. So those are all of my Q&A questions for right now. If you guys have any additional questions on my project, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below, and we'll see if it's featured in the next update video. I have a lot of work ahead of me. I work full-time. This is my hobby. I also make EVA helmets and Emil helmets, so it'll be slow progress, but I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. And if you guys are interested in seeing other videos by me, like tutorials or other costumes, also leave a comment down below. And I want to make tutorials. I do. I need to find time to make tutorials, but I want to make tutorials. So that's all I got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out the other videos that I have, other projects that I have. I know I didn't really finish off the Brute stuff, but I need to make an update video later for that costume. It was completed, I promise. I just didn't get a lot of videos recorded of it finished. So we'll have to get to that at some point. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's make some awesome things together. It's a pun with my name in it.